Hello, brothers and sisters. We need to get into something very eye-opening and very sobering. I did find my notes. I said I would do a part two and wrap up some stuff. It's not much I have to wrap up, so there's not much you're missing. Um, but some quotes that I wanted to quote and stuff like that. And we will get into this. We'll wrap that up, though, maybe our next video. But there's something urgent I need to share with you, and it's on Christian persecution and religious freedom. Many of you know that President Oakes and many other apostles have urgently campaigned for religious freedom. And many of you know that Christian persecution is happening all over the world. Okay? We know that. But in our Western cultures that have adopted pretty much a similar constitution, the Western world runs the world. And I'm not just talking about the United States. I'm talking about uh, the United Kingdom, uh, Canada, Australia, and most of the Western European countries. And they all have a similar constitution. And we've always been liberators of those who have been under totalitarianism, right? We did it in World War II. We have been champions for the free world. And religious freedom has always been a very important thing to most of these countries, because a lot of these countries have been Judeo-Christian countries. I'm going to read you an article without further ado. This is crazy. This reminds me of the Inquisition, right? This is a modern day Inquisition. Christians stand trial in Finland today for affirming men and women are different. A Christian bishop and member of parliament are being charged with hate crimes for publishing a theology booklet about sex and marriage by Joy Pullman. I found this in the Federalist. Okay, so I'm going to read and comment. Today in Finland, two Christians will stand trial for publicly stating the theological and scientific truth that men and women are different. Finnish member of parliament Pavi Räsänen, I don't know if I'm pronouncing the names right, and Lutheran Bishop Johanna Pojola stand accused of hate crimes for affirming basic Christian theology and natural reality concerning the sexual differences between men and women. Does this sound familiar to you? Imagine, if you will, if two of our apostles were put on trial for the family a proclamation to the world. Same thing. Same scenario. Pretty scary, isn't it? One of the three charges against Räsänen includes a count against her for tweeting a picture of a Bible verse and challenging the state Church of Finland's decision to sponsor the acronym parade. Another charge attempts to criminalize her participation in a 2019 public debate. So there's also some cancel culture going on here, and it's going back. You're going to see to their past. If the court finds them guilty, Räsänen and Pojola could face fines or up to 2 years in prison. Unbelievable consequences here, brothers and sisters. This is ominous. This is horrible. This is maniacal. It would also set the precedent of making quoting the Bible a criminal offense in Western countries. So they're not the only ones being put on trial. The Bible is. In November, human rights lawyer Paul Coleman told the Federalist that these cases in Finland are a canary in the coal mine for freedom of speech in the Western world. Coleman works for Alliance Defending Freedom International, which is assisting the two Finns lawyers. Quote, part of the scary thing about what's happening in Finland is that it could happen anywhere else, close quote, Coleman said. Many countries have similar hate speech laws, including some cities in the United States. While accused of hate crimes, Räsänen and Pojola emphatically affirm their love for all people as beautifully created in God's image and deeply loved by a God who sent his Son to die an excruciating death to atone for every sin, including all sexual sins. I'm sure the last thing these people that are putting them on trial want to hear is that the Son of God died for their sins. Their aim is not hate, but love, they say, another core teaching of Christianity, which also commands its adherents to love your enemies, bless those who curse you, do good to those who hate you, and pray for those who spitefully use you and persecute you. Both are also charged for a booklet Rasanen wrote and Pujola published in 2004. I mean, let alone them being censored. It was written 20 years ago. Pujola told the Federalists in an exclusive in-person interview in November 2021 that he asked Rasanen to write the booklet because she was qualified as a medical doctor and the wife of a pastor. The booklet affirms the classic understanding of sex as reserved solely for marriage, and marriage is comprising one man committed to one woman for life. In spring 2019, the two were suddenly served with criminal charges for writing and publishing this booklet decades ago. Well before Finland passed its hate crimes laws on behalf of so it was before these hate crime laws that they published this book, and they're being on trial, put on trial for it. Behalf of powerful special interests who dispute the differences between the sexes and their role in procreation. Rasanen and Pujola have been summoned several times for Finnish police to be interrogated separately for hours about intricate details of their theology. That's sickening. Sickening. A modern day Inquisition, brothers and sisters. In their interrogations, the police demanded that Rasanen and Pujola recant their beliefs. Wow. Wow. Both refused. Both have also noted the contrast between their country's claim to be a free and modern democracy that allows for full and open debate, and the way they have been treated as thought criminals. Quote, if I'm convicted, I think that the worst consequence would be it wouldn't be the fine against me or even the prison sentence. It would be the censorship, close quote, Rasanen said in a statement ahead of her trial. Quote, I will continue to stand for what I believe and what I have written, and I will speak and write about these things because they are a matter of conviction, not only an opinion. I trust that we still live in a democracy and we have our constitution and international agreements that guarantee our freedom of speech and religion, close quote. Christians all over the world are praying for Pujola and Rasanen, including corporately in their churches. On January 23rd, free speech supporters rallied in front of the Finnish embassy in Oslo, Norway, to show support for Rasanen and Pujola. Several of the protesters filling the street carried signs that said Finland, freedom of speech. Several members of the U.S. Congress, led by Representative Chip Roy, Republican of Texas, said in a public letter that the Finnish government's prosecutions of these, and persecutions, I would add, of these Christians for their religious beliefs raised serious questions regarding the extent of Finland's commitment to protect religious freedom for its citizens. Roy's office is closely watching the trial, and as are many other U.S. and international human rights organizations. Pujola was recently elected the bishop of the Lutheran non-state church in Finland. He was kicked out of the state church approximately a decade ago for upholding Christian teachings on the differences between the sexes. The small non-state church in Finland is growing, while the large state church is shrinking. Brothers and sisters, this is something that's not too far around the corner. We need to pray for these people. We need to pray for our own religious freedoms. We need to pray for President Oaks. Dallin H. Oaks, and for our other apostles and our first presidency and our prophet. We need to pray for our Constitution and pray for the other constitutions of the other free worlds. And that's it.